Jewish guy. This is maybe a mild.
Michelle Obama, for some reason, has decided to emerge from the woodwork again to talk about how America's racist, sexist, bigot, homophobe. This is 2008 Michelle Obama, not 2015 Michelle Obama, who was popular. I don't like this version of Michelle Obama. Neither did Americans in 2008.
Physically, there's a difference in color, in the tone.
Wow.
Because one side, all men, all white. On the other side, some women, some people of color. And people look down at that and go, yeah, that looks good. That looks right. We're probably getting a lot done and we're doing it right. You know, I look at that and I go, no wonder. No wonder we struggle. No wonder people don't trust politics. It's not, we're not even noticing what these rooms look like.
Number one, this idea that, you know, on the Republicans, they're all gray and white. That's the color palette. On the other side of the room, there are yellows and blues and whites and greens. And there's a difference because the left is just so much better at doing things because, you know, they actively have more people who are people of color. Again, if you're judging somebody's merit or their viewpoint based on their color, this makes you a racist by definition. So just because you happen to be a black person saying that doesn't make you a non-racist. So let's jump right into the mailbag. So Ian says, Ben, recently there have been advancements in science in relation to gene editing, and the future possibility of being able to safely edit people's genes seems to be getting closer and closer. From a religious perspective, do you believe this to be morally correct? I understand we are creations of God, but in examples of curing diseases and such, is it just for us to change ourselves from the way he has made us? So here is a distinction, here's a logical distinction that you can take or leave. Let me put it this way. If I had a child who was going to be, and let's say the process of gene editing did not involve abortion in any way. It was just editing a gene, so you're just fixing a problem. So let's say that my daughter had a development where she had a hole in her heart. It's fixed. She's fine. She'll be great for the rest of her life. She'll live 120 years. No problem. She's good as new. But let's say that I had the capacity to cut that out of her gene, you know, before she had to go through an open heart surgery. Would I have done that? You bet your ass I would have done that. The same thing is true for the Tay-Sachs gene. The same thing is true for BRCA, the cancer gene, the breast cancer gene. To cure diseases or prevent diseases seems to me a proper use of gene editing. And I think that's true for blindness. I think that's true for disability. I think that, you know, to prevent people from suffering with conditions, I think is perfectly valid and normal. To enhance, however, I think you start to get into dicey territory. This idea that you're going to enhance certain people's intelligence, or you're going to enhance their muscle power, or you're going to change the color of their eyes or their hair. I think now you're starting to play with dangerous stuff, because once you do that, then you could see a situation where people are engineering human beings to be a particular way, and we feel that we are God and we can control how human beings should be from the time that they are created. You could see a very dangerous situation for a couple of reasons. One, you could see a situation where people just decide they don't want a particular type of human being, so we're just going to breed it out of the population. You could also see a situation where the people who are very wealthy can afford gene editing, and their kids are perfect, and you can see a situation where poor people cannot, and their kids are kind of normal, and it actually exacerbates the divide in society. I think that these are very morally fraught issues, but I don't think it's quite as easy as don't get involved in gene editing at all. Gabriel says, hey, Ben, greetings from Brazil. Do you think the sharp increase in nihilism and self-hatred in the West has a direct correlation to our rejection of religion, as Nietzsche predicted? Yes, I do. I think that the rejection of faith in favor of science has led to the destruction of both faith and science. I discussed this last week in The Big Idea, but the idea that we are free human beings capable of making decisions, the idea that we have free will and change our minds, the idea that we have moral responsibility for our actions, all of these things are products of faith, not products of science, and science has actually undermined a lot of these claims, leading to a deterministic universe that forces you into a sort of existential nihilism, and that's very dangerous for society. Nicholas says, Dear Ben, today I got into an argument with an atheist friend of mine who believes that telling your kids that living a sinful life will lead you to hell is child abuse and will scar your kids for life. I'm not an extremely religious person, but I believe in my Christian values. How do I explain the morality of teaching kids about sin? Well, I mean, I think the fact is that teaching children that certain behavior is going to lead to an unhappy life both here and in the hereafter is not child abuse. It's actually a valid moral.
Let's change gears and talk about Hillary Clinton, who, by the way, is in South Korea, saying the president is causing war with North Korea. Totally irresponsible. She also made clear she doesn't want to run against the president again, but she'll continue to harass him and continue to criticize him. And now we find out the Clinton Foundation has its link with the Russians. They're revealed to have routed millions of dollars to Hillary Clinton's, while she was Secretary of State to the Clinton Foundation. And next thing you know, she ends up, Russia ends up with a lot of our uranium. Any coincidence there?
Well, I mean, Peter Schweitzer detailed this during the campaign, and it was a major scandal. It was something that President Trump brought up on the campaign trail. But what we're finding out now is that the Obama Department of Justice knew full well that there was attempted corruption by the Russian government in these specific deals, and they did nothing about it. So you do have to wonder, why isn't Eric Holder being called before Congress right now? Why isn't he being called on by the new DOJ to answer some questions about why they didn't do anything, why they didn't even apparently let the State Department know, if that's what happened? All of this is deeply suspicious. We already know that the Department of Justice under Loretta Lynch was making moves on behalf of Hillary Clinton. Was the Department of Justice on behalf of Hillary Clinton making moves under Eric Holder as well that would have protected some sort of cash pipeline between the Russians and the Clinton Foundation? Again, a lot of the documents that have been uncovered by the Hill are pretty disturbing from what the Hill reports. And the idea that the Obama administration was willing to greenlight this sort of activity, knowing full well that the Russians were attempting to infiltrate the supply of nuclear materials, is really disturbing stuff.
Absolutely. And the more they dig into the Russia thing, the more embarrassing it could be for the Obama administration. Ben, thank you very much for joining us today from Knoxville.